Hi, I'm Sarah at Keepers at Home, back to you with another video. Okay, this video is really interesting. I have been watching all kinds of propaganda about stay-at-home moms and how don't do it. If you do it, you won't have a career. God forbid anything happens. There's no way you'll be able to go on. You'll get thrown out on the road. There's a video circulating. It's actually, the woman is actually a girlfriend. She's not a wife, but her boyfriend or whoever is throwing her out on the road, left with nothing. Number one, this is not marriage because there's a lot more protections in marriage. If you're a married woman, as opposed to being a girlfriend. So I'm just gonna unpack all of this. So first I want you to watch this video and then I'll be back with my reaction.
Money on the side. And I'm gonna say no to that too. Like, look at how much labor. So now, on top of keeping the house, raising the children, managing and meeting the husband's needs, and then also meeting her own needs. Now she has to have a secret job, a job that she keeps secret. So that is exhausting. What is the point of marriage then? See, this is because we devalue domestic labor. This is because we devalue the labor that mothers give. The reality of it is, and I just talked about this in another video, I grew up with a mom who was a stay-at-home wife. And the reality of it is the labor that my mother did made it possible for my dad to only focus on work and to be successful at work. My dad didn't have to worry about how he was going to get dinner tonight. Did he get enough groceries? Is there food? Can he make this meal? He didn't have to worry about whether the laundry was done. Is he going to have his good outfit clean for work tomorrow? He didn't have to worry about, did the kids do their homework tonight? He didn't have to worry about those things. Only thing my dad had to do was get up and go to work. And that labor is so devalued, and I talked about this, that we didn't even see it. Like me as a child, growing up in that house, up until my adult, didn't realize it until my mother passed away. And I was almost 30 years old when my mom passed away. And it was because my father had nothing and could do nothing and could produce nothing for himself. He could work a job, but he couldn't keep a roof over his head. He didn't know how to pay the bills. He didn't know what to do after my mother passed away because the labor that she provided was so invaluable. And so many men don't value this labor. So many men have been taught to take this labor for granted. And that's why I say you take it away and give it to yourself, because all of that time and energy that you are expending putting into someone, you could be putting it into yourself. Being alone is the new self-love.
I've been doing what for 10 years? You've been writing on my income. I've been writing on your income for 10 years. Being a stay-at-home mother with you wanted me.
Women that are out and about climbing the corporate ladder, do their brains glitch and forget how they have the ability to do that? Like, do they forget that their ability to go and earn the same income they're holding over their partner is possible because you have one person at home doing the job of about 10 people for free? Calling being a stay-at-home mum as riding on my income is not only disrespectful, but it's incorrect, because have you seen how much childcare costs? Or a nanny, or a cleaner, or a cook, or I don't know, a house manager? And this is why it's so important to pick your partner carefully, because a man who values you would never financially blackmail you or belittle you. And if a man does that, then I'm sure they can find the way to the door with the 3 macho brain cells that are preaching the misinformation. Another important take, though, is if you have the ability to find something that enables you to put some money in your bank account as a stay-at-home mum, do it. Find something that aligns with your day, your passions, work from home roles that don't require too much mental strain, just anything to not put you in the position to have someone treat you like a prisoner or a burden. Regardless to any stay-at-home mums out there, you are doing amazing. And never doubt yourself, and never forget that, because at the end of the day, even if your partner doesn't see the world in you, your child does.
You're justified. I've been what? I've been doing what for 10 years? You've been writing on my income. I've been writing on your income for 10 years. Being a stay-at-home mother with you wanted me to.
I have been telling women for the longest time, if you're going to be a stay-at-home parent, you either need to prepare for that and make sure you have money saved, or have some little job that you can do a couple times a week, a couple hours a week, so that you always have money coming in. And listen, I totally get it that your husband is amazing and he would never do anything to hurt you. But courtrooms are full of couples who are now getting divorced, who thought that other person would never do anything to them either, who was just amazing, who was their soulmate. I mean, with the exception of random people who are marrying for various other reasons, most people who get married assume that the person that they're marrying is their soulmate and is amazing. So what are we talking about here? So I just have a couple things to ask you. If your partner, for whatever reason, randomly woke up one day and without warning, emptied out your bank account, your joint bank account, because all the money is coming from him, and disappeared, would you be okay for 3 months to several years as you wait for a court date, as y'all wait to reach an agreement? Would you be okay with nothing financial coming from him? If your partner became disabled or terminally ill and could no longer work, would you be okay? If your partner was laid off and lost their job and needed several months to find a new job, would you be okay? Now, some people are going to be able to answer yes to that because they have family and friends who might be able to help them. But unfortunately, a lot of women will probably not be okay. And answering this question will be horrifying to them. And I've made videos like this before explaining this, and I've had women say, well, I'll just pick myself up by the bootstraps and do what I have to do. As a woman who has done the picking up by the bootstraps and doing what they've had to do, let me tell you something. It's not an inspirational Hallmark card moment. It's not fun. It's very stressful, 0 out of 10 stars, and I do not recommend. One of the worst things that any human being could do is put 100% of their trust into another human being. And, you know, we're talking about an adult putting their trust into another adult. We're not talking about a child who really has no other option but to depend on their parent. And listen, I totally get it. I don't doubt that you wouldn't be able to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't doubt that your partner is amazing and that you can trust them and that they would never do anything to you and you don't have anything to worry about. But all I'm saying is it doesn't hurt to just look out for yourself and your children, because possibly at any point you might be the person that your kids depend on financially. You might be the person paying all the bills. We don't know what could happen tomorrow. We could guess, we could hope, we could have a plan that things will go well. But my thing is, what if they don't? Then what would you do?
What? I've been doing what for 10 years?
You've been writing on my income.
When I was 9 years old, one day my mom, in the morning when I was getting ready for school, looked at me in my face and said, work hard and study hard so that if you don't want to be with a man, you can just get up and go. And of course...
Okay, we're back. So, number one, we serve a mighty God, okay? If you go through the correct process, and even if you don't, sometimes God is gracious to change a heart of a spouse, when that spouse was unequally yoked, vice versa with a wife as well. So God can do all kinds of things, but let's say, God forbid, a woman is to get a divorce and she is a housewife. And lawyers, if you come across this video, please cross-reference all the legal things that I'm mentioning. But from the inception of this country, the men who established this legal system, as far as the family courts, saw that it was prudent to protect a woman that is married to a man and she is not working and she's fully dependent on that man. They took marriage very seriously and the responsibility of being a husband seriously. So abandonment was seen as one of the worst things you could do to a woman. You are leaving her financially destitute. So the laws of this country were created in the family court to protect stay-at-home women. Now, women, all kinds of women benefit from family court, if a woman is to choose to get a divorce for no reason, simply growing apart or irreconcilable differences, she's still afforded child support. That it still goes back to the original inception of family court and protecting a woman. Now, many of the men argue, why should women who electively take it upon themselves to get a divorce for irreconcilable differences or just fouling, as we're seeing a lot of these court cases, why should they be entitled to money for child support if they're working, etc.? So, but going back to the original point, the court was designed for women who are stay-at-home mothers. So women who are stay-at-home wives do not have to worry about being in a position where they're financially destitute, except in two cases. If your husband does pass away and you're a stay-at-home mother and you do not have insurance, which this is a plug to get insurance. Some of the younger mothers don't see a reason to because their family's so young, but things happen. My husband had a coworker that just passed away at 22 years old. And so his wife is starting to, and I'm not sure she had a job or not. They didn't have children, so I don't know if she was working. She might have been working. But if you're in a case where it was a woman who I went to church with, she had 5 kids and her family did not have insurance. They ended up having to liquidate the home through a home sale. The children's lives were radically changed. So they no longer lived on a farm. They lived in the city. Those kind of things should happen. And so you want to make sure as a stay-at-home wife that you, husband, if you have a wife that is stay-at-home, that you talk about getting an insurance policy. Different types of insurance policies. So for example, if your husband is permanently injured on the job, you would need disability insurance for any reason that that person would get cancer. That's another type of insurance. Cancer insurance, short-term disability insurance, all the kind of things that you could put in place to financially protect you. But one thing you do not have to worry about if your husband is providing is being left and being financially destitute. These voices, a lot of them that are sharing this fear, perpetuating this fear, they're either bitter single women who are saying, I need my own, I can't depend on a man, I can't trust a man, or women who have gone through divorce and they're just bitter and they're saying, I don't want to put my trust in a man. Because the divorce system, if you are a stay-at-home woman who has not worked, you are entitled to full alimony and full child support. So, but as believing women, we shouldn't really preoccupy ourselves with that. The purpose of this video is that women shouldn't be afraid to step into the role of being a housewife. That is done out of fear of the enemy. And anything you see there's a mass campaign against something is probably Satan sending his minions to scare women and saying, don't do this, don't do this. But one thing, it takes a very strong woman to go to work and bring in an income and come home to submit to her husband. Most of the time, women will have difficulty with that. You just feel empowered. You're making your own money and you're like, I'm going to spend it on whatever I want. It's harder to budget. You often find people living with 2 different financial budgets when you're in this situation. And so you're not really on one accord. Sometimes it does work. I know women who are married and they're on separate budgets and the marriage will not dissolve because of that, but it does create some contention there. So that is never a concern. So going back, if anybody is still not convinced of that, and any lawyers could double check me on this, but you would get some states full alimony. Some states are lifetime alimony. You will get half of your husband's pension. Okay. You'll get child support. So, and you will, some cases, if the court can prove that you're abandoned, out of infidelity, even if it's not infidelity, if you're just abandoned, you will get some cases way more, in excess of 50% of the marital assets. That's how much the country looks down on a man who would abandon their wife. So all these women saying, don't be a stay-at-home mother because you're going to be destitute if anything happens. If anything goes wrong, you're going to be financially destitute. Now, I did lay out the groundwork. You do want to be prudent in setting up life insurance and different things like that. If there is an event, you do not want to be in a situation where you have to sell off your home and be uprooted. But at the same time, there's provisions in family court for this. If you're not convinced, just watch a red pill video. They will tell you how their wife took everything. Okay. Some states, the wife, after the wife gets full alimony for life, Florida just overturned that. They would continue court or engaging pretty much sexual relations or engaging in relations with men. As long as they're not married, their ex-husband will still have to finance that. So, I mean, there's wicked women who take advantage of the system, but this video is just to say that women are protected in the eyes of the law in family court, sometimes to a detriment to the men. But it is good to be in a country where the legal system sees a gravity in doing something like abandoning your wife. And so you're going to hear all kind of feminist voices saying, don't do it. Don't do it. Have your career, have your job. Careers and jobs they end. They will come to an end. But you'll always be a parent, and you will, unless God forbid something happens, and you'll always look back on the time that you missed because you chose to, especially if you're a mother, because you chose to focus on career as opposed to your children. And being a stay-at-home mother also offers you the opportunity to be a stay-at-home mother, also affords you the opportunity to be a homeschool mother. And so that opens up so many doorways for people who do not have access to a good public education. We are fortunate. We do live in an area where our public schools are quote unquote good, even though they're probably teaching so many different agendas that we don't agree with. But in some places, the public school system is horrible, and they're seeing that when women are stay-at-home moms and they can teach their kids, that their kids fare a lot better than those who are super career oriented and all about career. Number two, at the end of a guy's life, they look back on their life and they regret the time that they focus on their career as opposed to their family. Surveys have shown this. So how much more would it affect a woman when we already carry mom guilt about different situations that you were not available for your children, and just having a strained relationship and wondering, is that why, And so these are just different things to think about. I do think one of the highest callings is to be a stay-at-home mother. There is a sense of pride and ego that comes from work. I'll be honest. I mean, I was probably less agreeable when I was working. It was something that I was convicted about, simply because, I was making decent money, and at some points I made more than my husband, although I felt like I never really treated him less than what I was. But sometimes you do have the propensity to do that if you're out earning your husband significantly. So but these are just things to just think about, and just stand back and look at society and what is the message that they're teaching you. I don't want any woman under the sun to be afraid of doing one of God's greatest callings for women, which is to be a wife, and specifically if you're a mother, to be a stay-at-home wife and just pour into your children. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. I've been gone for a month. Every time I get my momentum train on, and then I get derailed doing something else, but I'm back. And so please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Share in these spaces where these women are saying this is horrible, because it's not. And these videos, just going through them, just broke my heart for women who believe that, and they're acting out of fear that they can't even trust their own husbands. Okay, so once again, keepers at home, like, share, and subscribe. See you next week.